Ah, yes. Back to our roots on the Aurora YGO YouTube channel. How's it going, everybody? It's Aurora YGO here, coming at you with a updated Fluffal deck profile after so long. I know it's been absolutely ages since I made a Fluffal deck profile, and hopefully the person that keeps coming in my comments and asking for a new one's going to be satisfied, because, we took Fluffal to locals for 2 weeks in a row, actually, funnily enough. And I'm not really going to say anything about my first locals with it coming back, because it was kind of a shit show. But I will talk about my most recent one about half a week ago. I know it took me forever to get this done. Shut up, I'm really lazy. But, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and, before we get into the actual deck profile, I'll have a timestamp up for when it does happen, probably, somewhere down here. I'm going to talk about my matchups and everything, because I did end up actually topping with this build, which is really funny. So yeah, my first matchup was against Raid Raptor. It was the build with, the Time Thief and Phantom Knight stuff. It likes to combo into a lot of Xyz stuff, and so I ended up losing game 1, actually, because, I got full comboed. I think I had, one hand trap, but it wasn't enough. It was just, an Ash or something. And so, yeah, I ended up losing there. He got, Draco Future, I think Dark Requiem, a Fog Blade, a bunch of random stuff. I had literally no chance. So, game 2, he didn't draw, as good, and so, one Ash was able to stop him, and I think I might have had one of my side decked hand traps as well, and so I ended up, killing him there, and also I got to go first, so, there was that. And then, game 3, he drew really bad, and so a single hand trap stopped him, and I killed him after that. It was a really fun game, though. It was definitely something new, considering he always played stuff like Zoo before. Game 2 was against one of my friends. He was playing Metal Foes Unchained, and yeah, I know, it sounds weird, but it has some sort of synergy at least, and he said he wanted to play either one of them, but he didn't have enough to play either one, so yeah, he had to play both together. It performed pretty well, honestly. It just didn't really have a win condition. It actually ended up being my draw for the night, which was really weird. And we literally only drew because in game 3, I ended up not saying battle phase fast enough. I heard the timer go off for time, but I expected the owner of the shop wouldn't get to it very fast. He never really does, so I ended up going for a Fright for Fusion and getting a bit greedy and trying to go into a Wolf before going into battle phase because he had a set card, and the blue Unchained girl, I think Raquez is her name or something, who is the quick effect to pop. And so, I wanted to guarantee game, even though I could have just attacked over her and done some damage, in case, he would have popped her or something, get the guy that pops things. It would have just been annoying. So, yeah, ended up taking a fat draw there, because I got greedy. But game 3 was against Invoked Hero Shaddoll, which I know, it's weird, no Dogmatica stuff, but Dark Law's a hell of a card, and that's what ended up smacking me in game 1. He ended up actually getting game 1 because he Dark Lawed, and I didn't do stuff in the right order, and so I ended up playing Bahamut Shark Beatdown for a good while in that game, until eventually he ended up getting the upper hand. I had, nothing to really stop him. And so, game 2... I remember, it was either game 2 or 3, this is actually the only time I got to resolve Artifact Scythe the entire night. Like I said, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3, but I ended up, doing some combo stuff, and then I set a card because, I didn't set it off of Dagda. I don't think I actually resolved Dagda other than, once, funnily enough, except, I think it was negated, actually, so it didn't even resolve, but I did set the Artifact Scythe from hand, which is actually really nice. I didn't have to go into Dagda, I can set it blind, and so he ended up using Shaddoll Dragon on it, and keep in mind, I probably would have lost that game if he didn't do this, but he Shaddoll Dragoned the set Artifact Scythe, which was super nice for me, and it was hilarious the entire night. So, Scythe Res, obviously, summoned itself, it locked out an extra. He summoned Alistair, searched for Invocation if I didn't negate it or whatever, and then that's all he could do. And it was really funny, I ended up beating him. I know we went into game 3, like I said, I just don't know if that was game 2 or 3 that happened, but definitely very fun, very funny as well. And game 4 was against Tri-Brigade, and this was also really funny because I was actually playing against the other resident Dino player of my locals. Like, he and I are both known as the two Dino players there, and like, you know, there's always really big jokes and stuff. And we both thought each other were playing fucking Dinos. Like, he thought I was playing Dino, I thought he was playing Dino. And then I go fucking, I think, first in game 1, I end up doing Fluffal combo stuff. And I beat him there because I get to combo and everything, even though he does have a few negates. And also I ashed Rescue Cat 5-head. And then game 2, I had like everything. I think I also went first there, maybe? I don't know. I went first in one of the games, obviously. But like, I ended up beating him there as well. I had like a response for literally everything. I think I went first, maybe, and he negated some stuff. And then I ended up just using fucking Ash on Tenki, and I had stops for everything else. It was pretty funny, not gonna lie. So, Swift is 2-0 in the West there. And then Game 5, my only loss of the night, which I didn't care because I knew I'd top anyway, was against Drytron, which I don't remember if we went into Game 2 or 3. If it was Game 3, it's even more disappointing, but let's see. I know Game 1, we both bricked so hard, and the only reason he really won is because he finally got a combo piece, and he drew like 3 droplet as well, so once I drew a combo piece, I couldn't do anything. So I knew he got Game 1, and then either Game 2 or 3, whichever one, I ended up losing because A, he had a Herald of Orange Light in hand as well, but if he didn't have that, right, he searched Ultimateness off of Ben 10 earlier in the turn, and I had no idea. I completely forgot, and that made me really, really angry. Because I would have, like, if he didn't have the Orange Light in hand, I also would have been able to just stop him there. Because I was going to do what I planned to do against Drytron if I knew they had Ultimateness in hand. If they activate Meteonis, I'd chain Edgem Scythe, use Scythe Penguin, and then pop the Ultimateness by chain blocking with the Penguin. So, that kind of sucked. Again, without Orange Light, and if I was paying attention, I would have gotten it, but obviously, you know, he did have that, and my own stupidity. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. But anyways, I did end up getting top 4. We ended up just splitting because they had no trophies, and that's the only reason I wanted to top, is to try to go for a trophy. And, you know, the last week, before that tournament, was the 1 week, conveniently, they had trophies, and the 1 week in the past few months that I didn't top. So, that pissed me off for sure, but anyways, I'm not going to bore you guys any longer. Just know that I went 3-1-1, technically 4-1, if that draw doesn't really count. So let's get ahead and actually get into the deck profile 8 minutes in. So, yeah, now starting with the extra deck, we have 3 Fluffal Dog, it's still your Stratos, you know, obviously you're going to play 3, and 3 Bear. I bumped them down to 2 at one point, hated it, so 3 Bear is still kind of the way to go. I really enjoy playing 3 Bear, getting your Toy Vendor is very crucial. That's kind of what this deck is just Toy Vendor.deck, so 3 Dog, 3 Bear, still standard. And then, the card you should play 3 of, fucking Fluffal Penguin. I only currently have 2. I would totally play a 3rd if I had it, or if I couldn't get my hands on a 3rd, I'd play a 2nd Dolphin, but I can't get my hands on a 2nd Dolphin either. So, if you have 2 Penguin, play 2 Dolphin. If you have 1 Dolphin, play 3 Penguin. I'm just currently not in a good spot right now. But, Penguin is so good, dude. I resolved it so many times. Got so many Bahamut Shark plays off of these 2. Dolphin's also really nice. Foolish Burial Goods just becomes a 1-card combo there, especially if you draw like something like Chain. So, yeah, very good. Again, either play 2 and 2 or 3 and 1. Just don't be like me. I do wish I saw Penguin more, so I'd probably go for the 3 and 1, to be quite honest. And then on to the one-ofs, we have the 1 Fluffal Sheep. I never really liked Sheep before, but it's really good now because A, you get your Edgems back and stuff to resolve them, and then, you know, it's also free board, like, fucking spamming, so why would you not play a free board spammer in the Link era? Then we have Owl. A lot of people are cutting Owl, but I still really like it because it does help you play around things like Anti-Spell, Imp, Order, Secret Village, a lot of things that people like to side against Fluffal because they think you gotta fusion summon a lot. But that's when you just search an Owl, normal summon, pay 5, and then you end up just going for like a Tiger and like wrecking their shit. And you also play 1 Fluffal Wings now, which is really funny. I always like playing 2 Wings, but now that you play Octo, there's really no need to play 2 Wings. Also, you do have stuff like Dolphin and Mildo Wings, it doesn't really matter. And Octo is definitely a card I'm really starting to enjoy. I haven't played this card since like 8th grade, and I'm like a senior now in high school, so keep that in mind. But a very cool card. It gains attack off of Abyss Dweller, which is really funny, but more importantly, if it's used as fusion material, it can chain block and return your wings, your sabers, a bunch of things like that. And it can also return other things like hand traps, which is really funny. It's like any 2 banished monsters, so if you're playing the Gamma package like I used to, you know, that's free driver recycling. And then also, if it's summoned, you can add a Fluffal or Edgem from your grave to hand. So what you can do is, during your turn, you can use, like, the Cross Sheep setup. You can fuse the Octo and the Scythe into, like, a whale or something. And you can use Octo to add back the Scythe after you special it off of Cross Sheep, which is really, really cool. So it offers really nice recycling, even late game as well. And also, it's very shiny. Look at that. He got a secret rare slot in Fusion Enforcers like fucking Kraken did. Man, if only Bear got a shiny or Wings got a shiny. Fuck sheep, though. No one cares about sheep. Anyways, that's it for the Fluffal lineup. Very chonky. Now to the Edgems. This is new as well. We have 2 Chain, 2 Scythe, and 1 Sabers. So, I did bump Scythe down, I believe, from 3. I think I played 3 Scythe in my last deck profile. I don't recall. And we did bump Chain down to 2, which is actually really interesting, because I always liked 3 Chain, but the thing is, we did cut our Fright for Fusion down to 1, which I'll get to later, and so you only play like 5 Fright for cards, one of which you want to mill. But also, a lot of the dead hands in Fluffal involve you drawing like a bunch of Edgems. Like, you draw like Sabers, Chain, Patchwork, all that bullcrap. And so, there's really no need to clog yourself up with a bunch of Edgems, and it's not like you can't search them either if you really need to fusion summon. Like, you have 3 Patchwork, the 2 Chains, search the Patchwork, you got other ways of grabbing them, Sabers is searchable off literally everything, so honestly, I'm really liking 2 Chain. I still end up milling it off of Toy Vendor anyway, off the fucking, the second, send, which is really, really funny, and so I got really no qualms playing 2 Chain. It also lets me have room to play other things, so definitely something you should probably consider if you're still on the board of 3 Chain. And that's it for the Fluffal and Edgent monsters. Now on to the other monsters. We have the singular Artifact Scythe. We're actually not playing Kaijus anymore, in the main at least. I am messing around with them in the side because obviously they're really nice, but Artifact Scythe is something I have really come to enjoy. Again, I really only resolved it once that night going against the Shadal player because he accidentally popped it, but it is super nice to have as an option because, like, locking someone out of the extra deck right now is the same as, like, going over to them and stabbing them in the throat. Like, everyone except for Drytron lives and breathes off the extra deck, and even Drytron kind of loses if their extra deck's kind of fucked. Because, you know, Moobait is a card, so Artifact Scythe is very cool. You can set it from your hand directly if you draw it, and if you don't want to go into a Dagda as well. And you can set it directly off of Dagda, which, who thought Dagda was a good idea? Like, if something activates, set an artifact from your deck for free. Like, what? So that's kind of crazy. And the funny thing is, you can also use Dagda with Lancia, so keep that in mind for late games. But yeah, Scythe, very cool, and I managed to pick up another Super, which is my favorite rarity of it. I used to play it in my hat deck profile, if everyone remembers. And then finally, we do play 3 copies of Ash. It's the only hand trap that I currently play. I tested Gamma the week before, absolutely fucking hated it. I only played 2, honestly, which was a horrible idea as well. But, yeah, I definitely, I love Gamma, but I do not like it in this deck because I always end up drawing Gammas, like, late after I already do things, and I don't want to waste an extra deck slot on a Lambda, and I would never go into it anyway, really. So, there's really no need to play any hand trap other than Ash, unless you do want to play Imperm, which I will get into later on. And that's it for all the monsters. Now on to the back row. So, we have 3 copies of Toy Vendor. This deck is toyvendor.deck, of course. And then we have 2 copies of Rhoda. Oh, I mean, Foolish Burial Goods, but it's basically Rhoda with this deck. I was playing it at 3, and I did really enjoy it, but I ended up cutting it down so I could play 40 cards, so I can play Upstart and everything, but definitely you can play 3 of this and get away with it really easily, because even if you don't use it for Toy Vendor, you can actually use it on Repair, which is really nice. Or just to deck thin by sending, you know, other copies of itself. You can send polys, everything like that. So yeah, Foolish Goods is a very good card, and then obviously this deck revolves around Toy Vendor. Now we have 3 Poly. Like, this is a card you can actually get away with running 2 of now that I think about it. There's so many ways to search Poly in this deck, or to replicate it, you know, Scythe, Owl, all that stuff. So playing 2 Poly would actually be fine, especially if you want to play that 3rd Goods, because like I said, I am playing 40 cards, so I can play Upstart and everything. So, like, you know, Poly's good, but it's not as good as it used to be, especially considering how often you can search it. Because, again, a lot of dead hands are either a bunch of Edge Imps or a bunch of Polys, so you can see where that can be a problem. Onto your Fright for cards, we have 3 copies of Patchwork, of course, 1 Fright for Fusion, and 1 Fright for Repair. I know, I said I'd fucking skin the teeth off of anyone that plays 1 Fusion, but here I am. Nah, like, jokes aside, you know, Fusion is really fine to play at 1 now. Again, I do need to cut space to play certain things, but, you know, you really don't need to resolve Fusion more than once with this build in particular, because you're going to try to make them have to not be able to play through your board, and then you go for the kill next. If you send it off a Toy Vendor, it does kind of suck, but you can always just Poly into a Tiger or something. But, you know, usually it won't get sent off Toy Vendor, considering it's a 1-of, so that is the joys of, you know, playing 1 Fusion. And then Repair, you're going to dump off Whale anyway, so really the only thing you're searching off of Chain is Fusion and Patchwork. So, you know, if you draw the Patchwork, which is really likely, you can just search the Fusion later in the turn. So it really doesn't matter playing 1 Fusion. And then obviously 3 Patchwork is 3 Patchwork, and then 1 Repair is 1 Repair. So this is a really nice lineup, only 5 Fright for cards. I don't play Factory anymore, it's just a win more card. And yeah, that's that. And then 2 Forbidden Chalice. This card came up a lot, actually, but admittedly, I'm only playing this card because I no longer have my Imperms. I sold my Imperms so I could pick up Nibiru's, and Nibiru kind of sucks right now, so yeah, that was a really bad choice off my end. And I had negged like fucking $8 anyway, because the Imperms were 20 and the Nibs were 16, and that really pissed me off, but yeah, Chalice, it performed pretty well. I think I used it once on my own monster to get Dog up to like 21 per game, and Chalice also came up for negating, obviously, so there's that. Very good card, but again, I'd probably just play Imperm. 1 Twin Twisters, because I'm an avid fan of playing 1 copy of back removal in all my decks. I mean, it's also just for my locals as well, though, because we do have a lot of people trying to play Floodgates or Mystic Mine and stuff like that. So if you really don't want to play this, just cut it for a 3rd Goods, like, or a 2nd Fusion, or, you know, whatever. And then 1 Called By, because it's at 1, and Konami needs to bring it to 2 again, please. I would totally play the hell out of 2 Called By. And then 1 Upstart, because I want to play 39 cards. That's it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and go on to the extra deck. Starting with our Fusion lineup, we have 2 copies of Whale, no need for 3 anymore because RIP Calamities. 2 copies of Sabretooth. I know I loved playing 3, I just don't really have the extra deck space, and there's not really a need to play 3 anymore. You're not really trying to go for Fusion summoning constantly. And 1 Kraken, again, same excuse as Sabretooth, you know, you don't want to Fusion summon all the time. 1 Tiger, because we don't play the 2 Fusion anymore, and you don't really need to resolve more than 1 Tiger. And then 1 Wolf, which is a bit win more at times, but this guy does come up a lot. Like, you can Poly into a Tiger, and then you can Fright for Fusion into a Wolf, and then go for game, which is really nice. And, funnily enough, this is all the Fusions. I know, it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so about half your extra deck is Fusions now. You know, whatever, it's not real Frightfur, it doesn't play enough Fusions. Yeah, you know what, I thought the same thing, but fuck you, dude. Like, it's just a way to win now, because there's no way Fluffal wins without Calamities, unless you play this. Yeah, onto the Excuse monsters. 1 Dweller, because A, it's Dweller, and B, the 500 boost comes up way more than you think. Because, you know, Penguin specials like level 4, and boom, you go into Dweller, and all your guys gain 500. Putting it at 22, putting Whale at 31, Penguin at 21, Dolphin at 21, Octo at 13, if that matters, Kraken at 27. A lot of your guys are water. So the 500 boost is way more relevant than you may think. And then obviously we have Bahamut Shark and Toad, which the first week I debated on playing, and then I realized it was really good, and so I stuffed it in. And, you know, if you don't get your regular stuff off, you know, at least you can have Solitude in the fact that you can get a Toad out, which is really nice. And again, it'd be a lot easier if I did play 3 Penguin, 1 Dolphin, or 2 and 2. But, you know, what can you do right now? And then finally, we're gonna get into our Lenkos. We have one Cross Sheep, which is your bread and butter. You're gonna be summoning this guy a lot to summon your things like Octo, summon back your Penguins for your Scythe Penguins and for free specials. You can just summon a bunch of things back off Cross Sheep, and it's a generic Link too. And then Dagda. Again, I don't think I resolved this card at all yet, like, perfectly. Maybe I did, but maybe I did resolve Scythe more than once, but I don't know. I know I tried bringing out Dagda a lot, though. This card is crazy. Like, literally, if a card or effect is activated, set an artifact from your deck for free, which it means it can't be ashed. And if it's destroyed, which, you know, includes by whale popping it on your field, hint hint, you can special, like, your Scythe back from grave, if they end up, like, negating it, right? Like, say you pop it, like, with something, right? Or they pop it. You know, you're gonna try to activate Scythe, right? They Ghost Spell or something. And then Dagda's gonna get blown up off of something, maybe your own whale or something like that. And you're gonna be like, okay, Dagda effect, special Scythe effect, boom. Like, it's just basically, A, it's your free copy of Scythe from deck, and B, it's your copy of Scythe from grave. What's not to love about Dagda, dude? And then, the Nightmare package, because, you know, free removal, it's Nightmare cards. And finally, one Appaloosa, which is also your bread and butter. You're going to be going a lot of Cross Sheeps into Appaloosa, and Cross Sheep Dagda into Appaloosa, because Appaloosa's fucking Appaloosa, and you're playing a fucking field spamming deck. Like, why wouldn't you play Appaloosa, honestly? And alright, that's gonna do it for the deck profile. I would do test hands, but it'd be really painful to set up, and then there's also the fact that, we're already 22 minutes into this, which I didn't really think would happen, but I guess it took me for, like, almost 10 minutes to explain my matchups. But yeah, if you like this deck profile, please tell me in the comments below, and please leave a like on the video. Be really appreciated, and also, if you really like this content, you want to see more deck profiles and stuff like that, I also do a bunch of other things. Maybe I'll do some live duels with Fluffal. Perhaps consider subscribing, because we're on our way to 1,000 subs by next May. But once again, thank you all so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.